Buongiorno, bonjour, guten Morgen, and to all the European Union. And congratulations on President Macron winning again. And good morning, good evening, good night to the rest of the world. Very happy to have you here with us. And we really are waiting to be enlightened. This is not a Zoom meet. This will go on the YouTube, Jan.
Okay.
Okay. And briefly to tell you before anyone joins, whatever, is like we have, here I have my co-founder with me, that is Karthik Bura.
Hello.
Just met on Instagram and just one single message created this mud and mind. Everything comes from mud, and if we keep our mind as a mud, it is pliable and we can keep on changing. And this platform is fully for green infrastructure, green building, sustainability, environmental psychology, environmental entrepreneurship, environmental consciousness, and then circular economy and impact assessment too. Very happy to welcome you as our first guest. And we are going to have this as a YouTube channel as well. And then another person who is with ESG may be joining us. And he and I want to try and bring this machine to India. And, we have to see the space. And of course, investors come from corporates and all that. And I let you speak now. And we will get all the details here, which will go on YouTube later on. And also, whatever questions we have, we will definitely connect with you and ask. To you, John.
Thank you. Well, congratulations with Mud and Mind.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's actually an honor to be the first guest in this meeting.
Your machine inspired me to move it because everything begins from waste and goes back to waste, right?
It won't go back to waste if everything is okay. And the beauty about what we are doing now is that we can actually recycle all plastic waste. And we are actually focusing on this part of the plastic waste, which is currently not being recycled, which is being burned, landfilled, or ends up in the environment.
Okay.
And that is still definitely worldwide. That is still most of the plastic waste. It's next to almost all plastic waste, which is ending up where it shouldn't belong. And the technology we're talking about is from Australia, from our partner in Australia, Plastic Recycling, and they have invented a machine that just eats all types of plastic waste, unsorted, unwashed, and unshredded. So it means that you don't have to do a lot of pre-work before you can put the plastic waste in the machine. Mm-hmm. And it turns out a very consistent and homogeneous material, which is actually a new material. So it's not all types of different plastic stick together, but it is more or less a plate full of molecules which are entangled as a plate of spaghetti.
Okay.
And that makes it also quite a strong material. Depending on what you put in it, because you can the composition can change. That of course has an influence on the quality what comes out of it. It may be more brittle, it may be flexible, it may be a little bit softer or harder. Right. And that is all what we are currently going to test in the Netherlands as well, because we are actually starting to operate our test and demo facility here in the Netherlands. Okay. That is going to test and validate different waste streams to see, okay, how can we process this? What comes out of it? So what do we put in? We are going to make a sort of recipe book.
Right.
So that we know what to cook from all these different plastic waste.
But I also see that your machine can take in medical waste and anything, even rags and cloth and jeans and whatnot. So how does everything goes together, or is it like a washing machine? You pour your conditioner here, your soap here, and softener here. Is it like that, or everything goes into one single cylindrical mouth, and then it comes out input trajectory, and then it comes out as output. Is it like that?
It's actually quite a simple process. We can throw in all the waste together, and of course the composition is important. If we take textile waste, for example, which can also be included in this, we have to be careful that we don't put in a lot of organic fibers. If it's too concentrated, if we could put in a bale of cotton shirts, for example, cotton melt. So that will, in the process, will be dry material, and that will start to burn probably, because it will become hot, and it's dry material, which is then in small fibers and dust, and then it will start to burn. So we cannot take everything, but as long as it's synthetic material for textiles, for example, and we have enough plastic in there. Because synthetic textiles are also plastics, basically. If there's enough plastic in there, we melt it. We melt the rest away, and then it doesn't matter whether there's 10% or 15% cotton through the whole thing, or other organic material. Then we can have it. But we basically, to get back to your question, we basically take all the plastic waste, mixed and unsorted, and with 10, 15. Up to 20% contamination, we throw it in a machine, and almost literally a plank or a pole or the product comes out on the other end.
Okay, and one important question is, what happens to when these buildings are demolished and it goes into landfill? It is not biodegradable, and it is, filling up landmass. And if that land needs to be cleared, okay, then they put it in the oceans, and it is contaminating the entire environment. Is it possible that your machine can take in even concrete waste and building debris? No.
If it is that is for us too much contaminated, and so we can take in plastic, textiles, multi-layer cartons, beverage cartons, nappies, what you have, but concrete, wood, etc. That is that for us is too much. There you should have some sort of sorting beforehand. So that you take out the concrete, and ideally you should also recycle the concrete. And
like we are now framing this word HABIT, habit. You remove the H, a bit remains. You remove A, bit remains. You remove B, it remains. So concrete is going to remain. So we still haven't found a solution to work around concrete unless we go entirely green eco building. Okay, that's good. Okay, this machine, is it ready for sale, or is it still in its initial testing stages?
We are. It has been running and operating in Australia for 4 years, so lots of tests and trials. So we know it works. Okay. We also know how it works, and what we're going to do in Europe is to test a little bit more to get more. Some of the basic information, administer this properly, make really a good recipe book, so that we can also prove to people like, okay, this if you put in this sort of waste stream, then you get out this sort of material with which you can do these applications. And so the technology in itself is ready. What we are doing now at this moment is to configure the first, let's say, commercial production line, for a factory in Indonesia, in Surabaya, which we're setting up. And there we basically, assembling the production line. So we have a molding station for planks and poles. We have an extruder that is going to fill the molds. And we are going to put our mixer melter, the unwaster, we are going to put that on top of it. So we have our engineers at the moment working on basically designing this all together, so that we can supply a full line, for which indeed you have to put in the waste on one side, and on the other side your plank and pole comes out, if it's a plank and pole machine or whatever you want. And I'm mentioning planks and poles a lot because you asked whether it's working, well, we know that we can make planks and poles because that's what we're doing on the test machine as well. And we know that they work, and we know as well that there's a market for it because we can find a lot of applications if we can make planks, poles, and beams. We can make park benches, we can make retaining walls, we can make infrastructure elements, we can make flonders and terraces and stuff like that. So that is where we really want to start. If we are going to move to more complex products,
right?
That is something where the product developers
sorry to interrupt. Have you procured funding in Indonesia for the plant and manufacture and everything? It's done. Yeah, okay. Because through my project funding, I've got sources. They are willing to fund if it's in Indonesia. Indonesia is the real hot and happening development area in Asia Pacific region right now. Okay, I have one question before I speak to CSR or companies here, which is, okay, if we pay the price for the machine, to bring it here, what are the formalities that we need to fulfill, or is it going to be difficult or easy? That we have to really look in there.
I don't know. What we normally do is first we have our more or less feasibility phase in which we look at all things. We look at the financial and the funding aspects of it. Because also from a Dutch position, because we are in the Netherlands, the Dutch government is also willing sometimes to fund even the feasibility phase of projects and also the pilot phase of projects. There are schemes from the Dutch government that they want to support this as well, which may help us. So we normally start with the feasibility phase where we look at the supply situation. So what sort of plastic waste or what sort of waste do we want to process? The location itself, what's the size? What are the volumes? What sort of machine do we need? And also what sort of products can we supply to the market? And also the market development. Of course, together with local partners, because we want to set up locally, regionally our activities. We need a local operator, but we also need local partners because you need to work together with the suppliers of the plastic waste, with the waste management companies, the sorting companies, the recycling companies, but you also need to work together with the governments, the local governments, because they may be launching customers for the first products which you want to put into infrastructure or into parks or into infrastructure. And that is actually what we first normally try to do in the feasibility phase to get the whole picture together. Also funding and possible investors or government funds, and then move to the second phase where we really are going to say, okay, this is the sort of configuration which you would need into the factory, and then we look at how can we get this into the country, and how can we get this all together to make sure that we basically help to set up a business around the technology, because the technology is only one thing. We want to make sure that we have a working model in the location where we operate.
So, like a lot of stakeholders coming together, and I'm living in Mumbai, which is bursting as it seems, and it's the most populated country if you say per square feet area that we are calculating, and we generate a lot of waste, but it has got a system in place. And in my own building, I've created a system where the recycling and the sorting is happening, and we churn out at least a ton of waste every day. We have 240 apartments here, so we are churning out. And there are a lot of people in this western region who are doing Tetra Paks become benches for parks and stuff like that. Okay, so the plastic generation is also happening on a larger scale. But why I'm interested in your machine is it can gulp everything. It can suck in everything like the Bermuda Triangle, and it's going to give me a paradise like Netherlands. I mean, I can't ask for anything better. isn't it? So, and about the stakeholders, the government is making it very simple and clear for us in the sense that it is CSR, okay, government, CSR, NGO, and the work. This is how they are kind of bringing it now. So it is fairly simple. The process is simple, easy, in the sense that there is no corruption. We don't have to go around, but the feasibility can be done. That is one part of it, and the technology is another part of it. And which city needs the most? That is a good thing to answer. And who are the stakeholders that we bring in here? Because the people who are churning out waste and the people who are going to collect the waste for us and bring it to that warehouse, and those who are going to run the machine. So, you know, like it is going to be a train of thoughts, and then the people also, the way we are going to connect them. And how soon can we have something like a demo video that I can in process? Because Australia is very different. Australia's system is very much in place. I mean, I think they are the number one nation in the world. They stay separate, and you can't enter the country with a bag of chips. If it's not Australian, it doesn't go inside. But no other country has that. So, you know, like we have to have a very clear picture of what we are addressing, the problem that we are addressing, the solution that we are seeking. Okay, that is the machine. Okay, and then what is the output, and what is it going to do for the environment or the government or the people? These three
Yep.
questions need to be answered. And then we come to the last question of the whole idea is that if we are going on recycling, okay, and we are going to produce also, aren't we adding more and more to the planet? Is there a way that we can just destroy this? And, you know, like, because, you know, this question is ringing in my mind. See, in construction stage, I've bought a house and I've made it very clear to the builder, you give me the shell. I don't want the tiles because anyway, I'm going to throw it. So I don't want it to go to the landfill. That is a choice. That is a conscious choice that I make. Okay. But otherwise, what happens? So this is where production plus recycle, do they gel well?
If I understand you well, I totally agree with you that recycling should not be an excuse to produce more plastic.
Yeah.
Or to use more plastic. Because the final solution in our waste problem is to make less products out of virgin resources and virgin materials. So the most important thing to do is to start thinking about using less materials made from virgin materials. On the other side, we have a huge pile, we have landfills full of waste with which we have to do something. And what we do with it now, you described it in the beginning as well, we sometimes just throw it in the sea because the sheer volumes, we can't handle them anymore. So we dump them in sea, or we burn them, sometimes in open pits, polluting the air, polluting the environment, and actually killing animals and also people these days, because
it's very bad. Incineration doesn't help anybody, not the environment, animals, no one actually.
Yeah. As you can see, the setup as what we try to do is basically a first step to say, okay, well, if we have the waste now, let's make sure that we handle the waste in the best way possible. If we can really upcycle it, the name of my company is upcycling, but what we do with this machine theoretically is not upcycling, because we don't make a shampoo bottle out of a shampoo bottle again. Yeah. On the other side, we take waste from a landfill, which otherwise would be burned or dumped into the ocean, and we make something valuable out of it. So I still consider that as being upcycling, but if you look at the definition of upcycling, it's not. We have to
upcycling. I'm doing upcycling with all the wine bottles, because naturally the quality of the glass is so beautiful that I'm making lampshades and plenty of things, planters and everything. But very soon they're going to chase me out of the house because in the name of upcycling, I'm just creating more and more garbage in a corner. They finish the drinking, okay, throw it. No, I'm not throwing it. I'm just making upcycling is one thing that Karthik and I will soon be having products also on our this platform. So upcycling is one thing. Okay. And as a circular economy expert, I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think that we have to we have the 10 R's or the 7 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and the whole thing. And you should always go for the highest R on the ladder. If you can reduce the use of, for example, products made out of virgin materials or made out of plastic, that's the best thing to do. If you can reuse your products so that they don't end up as being waste, that's also that's next that's near to fantastic. And then you go slowly down. You're going to refurbish. You're going to recycle at a certain moment, and then you end up in what did they call it? Thermal recycling, burning basically, and making energy out of it, which is still energy recovery, which is still.
I heard recently that Airbus has tested its virgin flight with biogas. So if we can do away with complete air turbine fuel, nothing like it. I mean, like it's a massive massive change to the environment.
Yeah.
But
I think as well that what is important in the whole thing, we can do recycling, etc. But actually much more important, and that is also much more difficult, is that we have to change the whole system.
Yes.
We have to move to a circular system, because I can make products which are recyclable, but I cannot make circular products without a circular system or a circular business model behind it. The product only becomes circular if I make sure that I get it back and I can reuse or recycle it again, so that it doesn't become waste. Then it's
for this, the environmental consciousness has to change. We need a complete upgrade of consciousness here, because India is changing. I can see, because we have already gone back to using mud pots and cast irons, which never going to die. But what they want to cook in that and then again put back into the refrigerator, they still use plastics. So, you know, like for the system to completely take a turn, I think it will need another generation of like-minded citizens coming up and creating an impact.
And it goes further than only recycling and reusing, and because it also, for me at least, it includes, for example, true costing. So that products should cost in all the negative side effects they have on the environment, for example. Plastic so successful because it is very, very cheap. The same is for oil and fuel made out of fossil oils. It is very cheap, and it has brought us a lot of development and welfare. But we see now that it's also bringing a lot of other stuff, and we have to cost it in as well. But also the social aspects of inclusiveness of people. For me, they are that should be included if you want to move to a circular economy. Because the inequality within countries, but also in the whole world, are causing so much damage, because that makes sure that you start competing on price, on efficiency. And I don't like the word efficiency actually anymore, because
so
it is not
a misused word. Sustainable also has become a very misused word. And when you're talking of inclusion and equality, that is where we are going to fail miserably, because you see, Africa was using teff as their staple diet. And now the people are chasing, it'll become on superfood, and it'll make it so expensive that the people who are literally surviving on it won't have a reach for that. So same thing is happening with mud pots. The rural tribal people were just living off mud pots, and now it's become so expensive suddenly. A small, like mud pot that you can cook with has become, you can say about 10 euros, which is not possible for them to buy. So we are only raising their cost of standard of living. We are not raising their standard of living, but the cost of living, while we want a very healthy lifestyle, and there is no balance here happening.
Yeah.
So
no, we see a lot of things on this planet are happening. Climate change is one of them, and our economic system. For me, the economic system we are currently having is completely at its end, and we should change it with a different one. Big question, of course, is how we get that done from a current system that is still working. If we still have a take, make, dispose economy. And 85% or maybe even 90% of the world is still applying the principles of a take, make, dispose economy. A linear economy is very profit driven, so it doesn't take into account all these other things. And there's only a limited group of companies and people that are trying to change things, which is very difficult if the majority is still using the same principles. But I'm a strong believer in that we have to change, and also we have to try to do that, even if we're still with not too many people. I can also see that there are still there are every day more people that are being convinced that things need to change, and it's especially in our Western economies. It is very difficult to convince people that they have to give up some of their maybe their monetary wealth and their materialism. But we have to do that here as well, and keeping in mind that we put something back which makes our world actually a better place to live in, because we have clean air, we have more green, we have healthier foods. So that is where we need to go.
See, that is a fantastic point you have driven home. But one major shift that is not happening in the West is the branded products. You see, I don't want to take labels here because I'm not against any particular label or brand, but when they bring in fashion clothing, and it is summer, it's winter style, summer style, and it just goes. And what is the stocks that are not sold? They are not going to distribute it free for the people living in Africa or elsewhere. They just burn it. It just goes to landfill. So unless this is hypocrisy of the same company, which will be, like putting banners that we are giving, like it goes back to the people who are making it. Nothing like that is happening. So who is going to be answerable and assess all this? There is no central authority to do this. That is where the system is failing.
Yeah, and while the system is failing on more aspects, this is definitely one of the things, and I think that transparency and awareness of this is increasing also here. Fast fashion is actually very damaging, and
very damaging.
And textiles is even a bigger problem, I believe, than plastics almost. Although
very much. So you see, but I'm going back to the Buddha philosophy. He wanted that patches on his robe to make sure that nothing goes back. It just converts into something else.
Yes.
So that is, now I make bags and nothing goes out of the house. That is also becoming a major. Now they are against me. Okay, if you are going to convert your dresses into bags and something else, then you're not buying new clothing. So then what happens? So, we have to literally go deeper and deeper into this whole concept and bring about a valid solution, without which change cannot happen, without which change is not happening. And before I let you go, after your enlightening, wonderful talk, what is the corporate and governmental impact on the environment, and what measures do we need to stop, save, to secure our planet?
Sorry, can you repeat the first part of that question?
What is the corporate and governmental impact on the environment, and what measures do we need to stop and save or secure our planet?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
We have to do a lot.
I told you before I let you go, this is the last question on your exam, which is an essay question. So I want this not just from you, but from the European Union's angle, because EU has immediately transformed itself into organic farming, and France has now come up with no packaging, and the fruits and vegetables cannot be thrown. That is a very good concept, which if it comes to India, literally, the poor will not go hungry at all. So please answer this question. Take your time. Thank you.
Yes, well, the governments have a very, very important role to play. And I believe they are not playing that role at this moment. Especially in Europe, I think that leadership is lacking. We are managing the current system,
right,
and trying to keep everybody happy. We, of course, have a Green Deal in the European Union, which is actually trying to move forward and trying to make changes like we've not seen before, especially with respect to sustainability and also recycling and right. Our waste problem. But we have to move much faster, and we have to do much more, and governments have to do much more, because we can't leave it to the industry. The industry is making some efforts, but they only do what they have to do. And they only do these things on the basis of what either the society wants, so their consumers are forcing them to do, and consumers are not forcing them to do, they're just buying the products normally, which are available, or what government regulations tells them to do. So in that respect, also the government is extremely important. At a high level, European Union government level, they have to set the rule, and we were talking about systems change. If we want to change the system, they have to take the lead in it. At the moment, they are following. They're watching what is happening. People are actually setting up some sort of or setting up initiatives to change things here in Europe as well, with more civil participation in the democracy. Because the connection between governments and the population is getting worse and worse. People don't trust their governments anymore, right. And that's a very bad thing, because we are relying on proper government who's doing the right things and not listening too much to the industry, what the industry tells them to do, but make sure that they do what is right for the people and for the planet. And in that respect, I think that that government policies is very are very crucial. The only thing is, what I don't see really leaders standing up in politics or in governments that really are taking the society or our world forward in the right direction. And they're much more the shopkeepers who try to keep everybody happy, try to keep things going in the right direction. We have the climate discussions and the Paris Agreement, where people try to do something, but you see that also governments only try to do what they agree to in public, and then still they have difficulties in making it happen.
Nothing comes out of the COP that they conduct every year. That is one thing. And the reason that why we are brought this platform, it's going to have everything that we have spoken today: climate change, organic farming, and environmental consciousness to psychology. We want to take it at another top-notch level and educate the younger citizens who will begin to live that lifestyle. The hypocrisy is there. Okay, I'm gifting plant today, and then they are wearing a Tommy Hilfiger. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You have to be the change you want to see in this world. And that is how we are going to close the session. And before I let you go, I would be very happy if you come on our board as advisor, give us advisory tips, and we can have exchanges between what's happening in Europe and the rest of the world. And I mean, like, it is true. It is young baby, it's an infant. And I have one philosophy in my life is I take my Indian knowledge, work with Japanese precision and perfection, and my management style is fully American. Everybody is on the table, everybody is equal, everybody is a stakeholder, and everybody shares the profits. Unless we have this concept to work together, we are not actually talking of environmental consciousness or change happening. And it's too early, premature to tell you what role or what is the compensation, because we are not seeing it. But many things are going to come. All these things are going on the YouTube, and then we are going to have these sessions. And we are coming up with an online university just for this. Everything that we have spoken today, it's going to be there. About how to clean textiles also is going to be there. And how to remove the threads of the textiles and how to make it. And now I'm starting to make plastic sleeping sheets, for homeless people. I just learned it yesterday, and let me try and send you a sample later on. So unless for change to happen, I want everybody to come on board. This is everybody's baby, and I'm not a mother. Like Mother Earth, which is giving trees to everybody, and she doesn't claim it as her own. That is the philosophy that we need to have here. And you choose your role, you choose your seat, hot seat or the throne or whatever, anything, it's yours. And that is how Karthik and I met. And he's an industrial engineer who's specializing in bamboo products and bamboo buildings. So, like we also want to go into eco villages, building eco villages with entirely the natural materials, so that if anything happens and anything collapses, it goes back into earth. That is why we named it as Mud and Mind, because I'm against concrete. Against concrete. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The less the possible, and we make a lot of it, and it's a very bad product actually.
Yeah, see, the entire Europe that I went about, it's beautiful. It's standing beyond 500 years or 1,000 years because it's not built with concrete. And I'm trying to bring back all those masonry, the cob houses, the mud houses, and we have to educate people, enlighten them, and then only, to take them to that another level. So I have already given you the invitation and the offer, and you can fill up the blanks. So we will see how to bring this machine here. And since you say Indonesia, I think I can arrange the part of the funding. Those people will fund directly to the manufacturing unit so that it be just delivered here. That is a possibility, but we need the joint venture also, because it's a huge amount that we are talking. And how to create that funding aspect is what I have to look into this. And I also have my NGO, so we can bring it via the NGO. That's not a problem. And I'm also having my company, that is my corporate training, corporate wellness. People's health is very important for the environment. That is very important. In fact, if you eat less, if you skip one meal also, it's good for the environment. Less carbon. So like I'm taking it one level higher up because of all this. So so we will see, we will have to connect more often without this show also. And I let you go, and you have an entire week, entire month. You give me your answer in June, mid-year, no problem. But I take only a 3-letter word as your response.
Okay, that's fine. I think that we have to do it together anyway.
Yes.
Want to bring on
just
this.
not just the machine, to be part of Mud and Mind, to be part of Mud and Mind. Yes. Because like a lot of people sorry?
I'm also very passionate about farming and agriculture, because also there
we are going to see, actually today there was going to be a guest. You can read my LinkedIn post before Mud and Mind. He is living a zero waste lifestyle, nomadic lifestyle. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a car. His son is not going to school. Like he's literally living that lifestyle, and he creates bioenzymes. So which I want these workshops to be conducted in Netherlands. I'll try to bring him. And he makes shampoos and cleaning agents for the bathroom and everything. And I tried and tested. It's working out fine. My bathroom looks sparkling. So if that can happen, a lot of chemical waste going into the oceans can also be stopped. That is one major thing, because unless we save the marine life, we are not going to exist. I mean, the way we are consuming the world, man doesn't know what he's losing by killing the rest of the planet. And it's already, we have hit the red light. So thank you so much for joining us. And I let you munch on what we just spoke. And I already taken, I can hear your answer in my ears. It is an S. Yeah, I'm very persistent, and I never give up, because it's for the planet. I mean, everybody is going to be a parent. The baby is the planet. And thank you very much, Jan. I'll keep in touch. And I never give up on anything. It might look very slow, but I go and come back like a kid who's left a toy and then comes back. My ideas keep going around in my head, and it gets connected. Everything is connected. All my work has now got connected, because you see, I'm coming up with my company for corporate training, corporate wellness. I've been doing research in stress, and healthcare is one major area that we need to focus on if we need people to be more productive and less stressed and spend more time with their families. For that, we need to create an ecological lifestyle, which is what eco living and eco resorts or eco houses will be built. And then we need to give this environmental education. So all these things form a part of one single coin. We can't have a Euro struck here and one photo. That doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work anymore. It has failed. We have already seen it has failed. And
Yeah.
America is the way America is consuming the world. 2/3 of the world is consumed by America, and it's sending all the junk to other countries. We don't want it anymore. People are sending it back. We don't want it anymore. So our machine, this machine, is going to be a success. But I think with all your genius scientists, you should find a solution for concrete. That is my last ending line. Thank you guys for joining me. And Ayush is there. He's not been seen. He is my youth ambassador for my NGO. My NGO works for people, environment, and animals. And it's only, we do more for research work. But I think mud and mind is going to rule the world. With all of us, you're there on board. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.